The sky above Earth had never looked so small. Through telescopes, satellites, and the naked eye, a fleet of alien ships hovered in perfect formation, gleaming like silver shards against the pale blue of the atmosphere. Millions of people watched in fear as news channels broadcasted the images. Massive alien warships, larger than the tallest skyscrapers, slowly moving into orbit. They were calm, controlled, and undeniably powerful. Humanity had never faced anything like this. In the command center of Earth's united military, generals and scientists huddled around glowing screens, their faces pale. The world's most advanced weapons had been prepared for months, yet no one could feel confident. Humanity's arsenal, as advanced as it was on its own terms, now seemed fragile. Colonel David Mercer, a seasoned tank commander, stared at the displays in silence. He had spent decades preparing for war, but nothing in his experience matched the feeling of helplessness he felt now. The alien ships were too fast, too strong, and far beyond anything humans could match in direct combat. "They're not communicating yet," said Lieutenant Sato, adjusting the controls of a holographic map. "But their movement, it's like they're studying us, calculating." Mercer gritted his teeth. "Then let's make sure they calculate wrong." Across the globe, Earth's leaders attempted diplomacy, but the aliens made no effort to respond. Instead, a broadcast suddenly appeared on every communication channel. A voice, crisp and mechanical, filled the world's airwaves. "Humans," it said, echoing through every screen and speaker. "Your war machines are quaint, primitive. We see no threat in your old tanks, your outdated drones, or your flying metal boxes." The words, though simple, were worse than any weapon. Laughter followed, a deep, mocking sound that seemed to resonate in every heart. People gasped, soldiers froze, and generals' faces drained of color. The aliens were mocking Earth's entire military. In New York City, civilians crowded in front of screens. "Old tanks?" a reporter said, staring in disbelief. "Those are just relics from decades ago." Yes, they were. Humanity's tanks were designs from the late 20th and early 21st centuries, upgraded in small ways but still fundamentally old. On their own, they seemed powerless against alien technology. But Colonel Mercer did not panic. "Sometimes," he said quietly to Lieutenant Sato, "it's not the size or age of the weapon, but the mind that uses it, and we have minds they cannot predict." Meanwhile, in a hidden laboratory beneath the mountains of Nevada, a young engineer named Emma Lee worked tirelessly. She had a genius for mechanical systems and unconventional upgrades. While the world feared the aliens, she was preparing something remarkable. Tanks that seemed outdated were being secretly retrofitted with new targeting systems, energy shields, and adaptive armor. If anyone could turn these quaint relics into a weapon, it was her. Back in the command center, Mercer studied the holographic map. Alien ships had begun small attacks on remote military bases, probing Earth's defenses. Missiles fired, jets scrambled, and yet the alien ships moved too fast, dodging every strike. Conventional weapons were useless. For the first time, humanity saw what they were truly facing. "They're fast," Sato said, "and intelligent. They're not just attacking, they're observing patterns, learning." Mercer nodded grimly. "We need to make them underestimate us. If they think we're weak, they'll make mistakes. And we'll be ready." At first light, humanity's tanks rolled out across strategic points, cities, bridges, and defensive lines. Soldiers climbed into metal hulls that had been polished and repaired for this very day. The tanks rumbled, engines echoing across empty streets, a sound both familiar and defiant. The aliens appeared above. Their small fighter ships dove toward the tanks, firing energy beams that melted concrete and rock but left the metal hulls of the tanks intact. The humans tried firing back, but their shells barely scratched the shimmering alien shields. The aliens laughed. The sound was mechanical, cold, and echoed from above. "Pathetic," they broadcasted. "Primitive machines. You are already defeated." Mercer felt anger rise, but he also noticed something others missed. The alien ships moved with predictable patterns. Small deviations, almost imperceptible, repeated again and again. Perhaps the aliens were confident, overconfident. "Observe carefully," Mercer whispered. "They're fast, yes, but predictable. That is their weakness." Emma Lee, observing from her lab, had finished retrofitting the tanks in secret. She activated a new system, a hybrid control that allowed tanks to communicate and coordinate instantaneously. Using AI-assisted targeting, Each tank could anticipate alien maneuvers in real time. It was still experimental, untested in real combat, but there was no other choice. Night fell, and the first coordinated human counterattack began. Tanks moved not as individual machines, but as one organism, reacting to alien maneuvers with speed and precision no human could match alone. Small alien fighters found themselves trapped in impossible situations. Escape routes blocked, weapons neutralized, and movements anticipated. The aliens, seeing this unexpected coordination, faltered. Their laughter, once mocking, turned to confusion. How is this possible? The broadcasted voice repeated, now strained. On the ground, human soldiers cheered quietly, their morale surging. For the first time, hope flickered. Humanity's tanks, once mocked, were proving their value, not because of their size or age, but because of human ingenuity and courage. Colonel Mercer led a small team on a daring move. Using a combination of urban terrain and predictive AI, they set an ambush. Alien fighters dove in, expecting an easy target. But the tanks, hidden behind buildings and under bridges, struck simultaneously. Shields absorbed energy blasts while upgraded cannons retaliated with deadly precision. One by one, the alien fighters were disabled. The broadcasted laughter of the aliens grew quieter, replaced by a stunned silence. Mercer could feel the shift. Humanity was no longer merely defending. It was surprising the invaders. Emma Lee monitored every tank through her lab interface. They're responding exactly as predicted, she said to herself, a small smile forming. They don't see the full picture yet. As the night wore on, humans began to understand a crucial lesson. The aliens, despite their technology, underestimated one thing: human creativity, determination, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Even ordinary citizens contributed. Civilians rigged old vehicles with makeshift defenses, relayed information to military units, and cleared streets for tank maneuvers. Humanity's unity, something the aliens could not anticipate, was turning the tide. By dawn, the alien fleet had retreated slightly, regrouping in orbit. Their once confident broadcasts now carried a tone of irritation. "Earth is unexpected," the voice admitted, almost begrudgingly. Colonel Mercer stood on a ridge overlooking the battlefield, watching smoke rise from abandoned alien fighters. His tank, scratched and dented, still stood proud. "This is just the beginning," he said. "They think they've seen our weakness. They haven't seen our strength yet." And for the first time in history, the world felt a sense of cautious optimism. Humanity had been mocked, laughed at, and nearly overwhelmed. But through courage, strategy, and ingenuity, Earth had shown it was not powerless. Still, Mercer knew the real battle had not yet begun. The aliens had retreated for now, but their forces were massive, and their technology far beyond Earth's. The coming days would test humanity in ways no one could yet imagine. Yet for the first time, the world understood one undeniable truth. No matter how old or primitive their machines seemed, humans could wield them in ways the universe did not expect. And when humanity unleashed its true power, no force, not even the most advanced aliens, would laugh at Earth again. The sun rose over a battered but unbroken planet. Smoke curled into the morning sky, tanks rumbled back to bases, and people everywhere whispered the same thought: "We are not weak. We are human. And we will fight." Cliffhanger. As Earth soldiers prepared for the next wave, Emma Lee studied the alien signals with growing concern. Hidden within their communications was a pattern, a plan. The aliens were regrouping, learning from every mistake, and soon the real test of humanity's strength would arrive. But one thing was certain: when that moment came, humans would be ready. The morning sun burned through a hazy sky as Earth braced for the next wave. Across the globe, humans moved with purpose. Civilians, scientists, and soldiers worked together in ways no one could have imagined a week ago. Tanks that had once been considered relics now rumbled through cities and open plains, gleaming with new modifications, their engines humming with quiet confidence. Colonel David Mercer stood atop a hill overlooking the battlefield. His eyes traced the horizon where the alien fleet had returned. They had not fled far, only regrouped. Larger ships, bristling with strange weaponry, floated in formation above the clouds, scanning, calculating, and planning their next move. "They've learned from yesterday," Lieutenant Sato said, adjusting his goggles. "They're faster, more careful. They know we surprised them once. Mercer nodded. Good. That means we can do it again, but this time even bigger. In the underground laboratory, Emma Lee and her team of engineers were working feverishly. Their modifications were complete. Tanks with energy shields, adaptive armor, AI-assisted targeting systems, and real-time communication networks. Every human soldier in the field could coordinate in perfect unison, creating tactics no alien could anticipate. These tanks, Emma said to her team, may look old, but their strength is in the minds controlling them. The aliens see metal and think they understand it, but they don't. They can't predict human creativity. The world held its breath. Cities had been evacuated where necessary, defensive positions fortified, and every inch of open terrain mapped for strategic advantage. Humanity had one goal: turn the mockery of yesterday into the triumph of today, and then the aliens struck. Small waves of fighter ships descended, firing beams that carved craters in the earth. Their advanced technology struck with deadly precision, yet the modified tanks held firm. Energy shields absorbed the attacks, while AI-guided targeting systems allowed human crews to strike in response, anticipating movements the aliens thought unpredictable. Colonel Mercer led the first maneuver. Tanks moved in perfect synchrony, converging from multiple directions. The aliens, used to overwhelming smaller opponents, found themselves trapped in patterns they could not escape. One by one, their ships were disabled. Emma monitored the battle from her lab. They're reacting faster than they expected, she murmured. They didn't anticipate humans thinking so quickly. This is our advantage. Across the battlefield, soldiers and engineers acted in perfect unison. Civilians guided vehicles through streets, relayed messages, and even improvised defenses. Humanity's strength was not in a single weapon, but in collaboration, intelligence, and determination. One alien fighter attempted a sudden attack on a human supply convoy. The tank crews, anticipating the move, formed a defensive line, their shields linking to create a barrier. The alien ship's weapons bounced harmlessly off the energy shields, while a single well-aimed shot from a modified tank's cannon struck its power core. The ship erupted in flames, crashing to the ground in a controlled explosion. The alien voice, once mocking, now trembled over broadcasts. How is this possible? Your machines, your tactics. Colonel Mercer smiled grimly. It's not the machines, it's us. We are human. The battle escalated. Larger alien ships, which had seemed invincible from orbit, were now vulnerable. Tanks moved across rivers, through mountains, and across cities with unmatched precision, guided by AI and human ingenuity alike. Hidden traps, decoy movements, and carefully timed strikes disabled alien systems one after another. In one daring operation, Mercer led a squadron of tanks through a canyon, using the terrain to mask their approach. Above, alien ships fired relentlessly, but the tanks' shields absorbed the energy, and their AI systems calculated evasive maneuvers in real time. Then, in a brilliant move, the tanks fired in perfect unison, striking the main control systems of several alien ships. Sparks flew, engines failed, and ships fell from the sky. Emma Lee watched in awe. They think technology alone wins wars, she said. But they've never faced the human mind working as one. That's what defeats them. Even civilians contributed in meaningful ways. Engineers created remote-controlled vehicles to distract alien ships. Students coordinated communication networks, relaying movements across continents. Ordinary people armed with courage and determination became part of the strategy. The aliens realized too late that underestimating humans had been their first mistake. They had assumed old tanks and conventional weapons could never challenge their advanced technology. They did not account for human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. Colonel Mercer led a final decisive strike. Using intelligence gathered from the first hours of battle, tanks moved in a formation that forced the alien fleet into a narrow valley. Shields bristled, cannons fired, and every shot found its mark. The alien command ship, which had directed the fleet with impunity, was disabled in a spectacular explosion. The remaining ships scattered in disarray. On the ground, humans cheered. The mockers had been silenced. The alien fleet retreated, leaving Earth victorious, not through sheer power, but through strategy, determination, and the refusal to surrender. In the aftermath, the world reflected on what had occurred. The tanks, once mocked as relics, were now celebrated as symbols of human ingenuity. Soldiers, engineers, and ordinary citizens had proven that courage and intelligence could triumph over even the most advanced technology. Colonel Mercer stood among his team, watching the sunset over the battlefield. "They laughed at us," he said quietly. "They thought they understood humans. They were wrong. And now the galaxy knows, underestimate Earth at your peril." Emma Lee joined him, her eyes still bright with excitement. "We've shown them our true power, and this is only the beginning. Humans will always find a way, even with the oldest tools." Across the globe, celebrations erupted. Children cheered in the streets, soldiers embraced, and families reunited. Humanity had faced a superior force and emerged victorious, not through luck but through unity, courage, and ingenuity. Yet, even in victory, the people of Earth knew the galaxy held many more challenges. The aliens they had defeated were only one of countless civilizations, but one truth remained unshakable: Earth was no longer a planet to be mocked. Humanity had proven its worth, and the universe would never forget. Colonel Mercer, standing atop his tank, gazed at the stars. "They'll be back," he said, "and when they return, we'll be ready. Because humans, we never give up. We never stop learning. And we never stop fighting." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the battlefield. Smoke curled into the sky, the tanks rumbled home, and humanity celebrated. The world had seen the power of its own courage and creativity, and the echoes of that victory would resonate across the universe for generations to come. The aliens had laughed at Earth's ancient tanks, but humans had shown them the truth. The true power of humanity was not in the machines, but in the minds and hearts that controlled them. And as the night settled over the planet, one thing was certain: humanity had awakened a force no one could ignore.